Hello everyone, and welcome to Straight Chilling. Each week we watch and review a horror film for your entertainment. You can send all questions and comments to straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com, and don't forget to keep chilling.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing. 5 cold feelings on the mind, got you reeling. 5-star ratings from the floor to the ceiling. If you get your 1 star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ, all the 1s and 2s. By the name Elzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all in 2. And prepare to hear the legend of the Straight Chillin' crew.
What up, nerds? Welcome to another surgically enhanced episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for this evening. This is episode number 291, recorded on Sunday, November 1st, 2020. Tonight, we're going to be talking about our latest Patreon pick. This movie is called Seconds from 1966, and it was chosen by the sensual Kelvin. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got our boy Randy Gandy, G. Landy. What's up, man?
How's it going, everybody?
Our sensual boy Randy from the D.C.
You are really on the sensual train today. Did you just get a thesaurus? You should use it.
I did. I don't know, man. I'm feeling weird because Halloween's over and I don't know what to do with my hands. I just
Apparently,
don't know what to do.
masturbate. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Last but not least, calling in from the Southern Korea, we got our boy Soju. What's up, man?
What up? It's your boy, Mr. Wilson Staines. I'm so young and good looking, I must be part of a secret society, eh, boys?
You're Mr. Wilson from Dennis the Menace, I'm assuming? How those chiclet teeth treating you?
Dude, classic. Holy shit. I haven't thought about that in a hot minute.
Well, think about this. That's a horror movie because motherfucking Christopher Lloyd plays a bum under a bridge who kidnaps a child.
Dude,
that happened.
That dude's super scary, yeah.
Yes, wow. He is.
He makes the beans.
He makes the beans. He's eating the beans.
Yes.
Oh my god. Dude,
Lloyd,
doesn't he like kill that? Doesn't that kid kill that bum?
Well, cartoon style, I think. But yeah, that sounds about right. Basically murders him.
Wow. Okay.
Dennis the Murderer.
Hilarious.
All right. We're going to cover Dennis the Menace this week now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Dennis the Menace to society.
Don't be a Dennis the Menace to society while sipping juice in the hood or whatever that is. Whatever that is. Thanks. Before we get into the main event, let's go ahead and tackle some housekeeping real quick. So it's a new month, which means we got a new poll pick. Bram Stoker's Dracula did win November's poll pick, so we're going to be talking about...
We be stroking?
We're going to be stroking.
We be stroking.
I be stroking.
In the month of November, we will be stroking.
You said, all hands.
I don't know what to do with my hands.
Sensual.
The December poll pick is now posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote for a movie we're going to be talking about this December. The theme,
support us at the pot.
Do it. The theme for December is like foreign Christmas horror movies. So we got three movies you can vote between. And they are Santa Claus vs. the Devil, Deadly Games, and Rare Exports.
That's right.
Bob, how are those numbers looking on the first day of November?
First day, Rare Exports is currently leading.
By how much?
A few. I don't know. Most people haven't voted.
Tell us the numbers.
A few.
Tell us.
It's leading by 2. We've got 5 for Rare Exports, 3 Deadly Games, and 1 for Santa Claus vs. the Devil. This is what professionalism sounds like.
Thank you.
I'm sorry to tell you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Randy.
Also,
those are the hard numbers I'm always looking for.
So
also the name of the theme is Santa Chaos Goes Global, according to our Patreon.
Whatever it is. Randy.
We got the French, the Nordic, and the Mexicans all represented in this particular poll.
Whoa.
That's very well-rounded. That's just how we roll. Other Patreon news. We do have a brand new Patreon supporter. We got to give mad shouts outs Big thanks to Marina for signing up on the Patreon and showing us some love. Every $1 you guys contribute goes right back into the show, and we very much appreciate it. As is tradition round these parts, we owe Marina the straight chilling salute. This one is for you.
Slap me in the ass!
Beat
Thank
red,
you.
it should be.
Beat
And
red.
slap my ass.
That's a red ass for sure. I think that's all we got as far as Patreon is concerned. Juice, do you have anything you need to tackle, or Randy?
Well, it's a new month, bro. Oh, we're just the same person.
I need to tackle
over here, I
issues.
say. Okay, yeah.
Tackle 'em.
I have some issues I want to tackle on this week's episode.
I need to tackle
Opioid
issues,
crisis.
the old Korn album from Rob and Randy's era.
Let's
That's what I
tackle
need
it.
to tackle.
Oh, wow.
I printed it out on a big standee, and I'm going to tackle it over and over again physically.
Oh, that was some good music you guys had back in the day.
Oh,
Thanks.
if you are if you were truly the age you claim to be, you would never say that.
Sarcastic. This is a new month, which means this upcoming Tuesday is going to be a new top 5 Tuesday, which means a new top 5 list on the YouTubes. I had to move away from spooky season a bit. It's over and we need to give it some space. So I am actually doing top 5 space horror films, and that's going to be dropping per usual on Tuesday. That's youtube.com/straight chillin' podcast. And that's all the issues I had to tackle. Randy, you need to tackle any more issues?
I really got a sore ass after working out yesterday.
Damn.
That's an issue I'm tackling. Yeah.
Uh-oh. Got to get in there. Work it out.
Nothing pertinent to this podcast, but I mean, I could just go down the list of complaints if that's what we're doing.
We're not. That's not what we're doing.
Oh, fuck.
I have one more thing to mention real quick. I was a guest on another podcast called Screaming Cinema recently, and we
La-dee-da.
La-dee-da. We discussed Rob Zombie's Halloween 1 and 2. So
Rob, your favorite Halloween films? I already know you gave them both 5, so no need to listen to that.
they're perfect. They're perfect movies. So, spoiler
Good.
alert. Yeah, so check that out, Screaming Cinema, if you wanna hear some people talk about some Rob Zombie Halloweens.
How upset were they that they got the one person that was going to shit everywhere all over Rob Zombie?
I did a lot of defending, actually. Which
Okay. All right.
might surprise you.
So you were a different kind of disappointment.
Maybe. Maybe.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
those movies are problematic, but check it out. Check it out. Slam your earballs into it and enjoy. Without further ado, let's get into the main event. We're talking about seconds, and we're going to kick it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, you got this box?
No, I don't have this box. But
Criterion, right, Bob?
yeah, there's
Is it a Criterion?
Yeah, there's a nice Criterion release of this. I don't
Makes
own
sense.
it, though. Yeah, Seconds from 1966, directed by John Frankenheimer, starring Rock Hudson, Frank Campanella, John Randolph, some other folks. The plot synopsis is as follows. An unhappy middle-aged banker agrees to a procedure that will fake his death and give him a completely new look and identity, one that comes with its own price. Gentlemen, have you seen this movie before, and would you recommend people check it out? Randy?
No, I actually was unaware of this movie's existence at all. I would recommend it, though. I don't think it's as always, caveats abound. I don't think it's for everybody. It has a little bit of a slow pace, especially in the middle third, I would say. If you're not down for that, then it's gonna leave you a little bit dry for a while. But I think it's a pretty thoughtful movie. I think it's got a lot to chew on and a lot to think about, and I think it's really interestingly shot. So if those things sound appealing to you, this is going to be a movie you might enjoy, especially if you're down for the older set, the black and white 60s sort of deal.
Cool. Juice, what about you?
I had never seen or heard of this movie before, and I think I would recommend to people who are into like the Twilight Zone kind of stuff. It gave me that kind of just vibe, things that are more not like straight horror. It's not going to give you a lot of jump scares or even a lot of like thrills or anything like that, but it is more psychological. It deals with like some real issues, I guess, in that kind of realm of horror. It's more about the idea, I guess, than blood or gore or monsters or anything like that. So I would give a light recommend. It was definitely an interesting film. So yeah, if you're in the Twilight Zone, I think you dig this. Bob,
That's a good call.
Had you seen Seconds before, and would you recommend?
Would you go for Seconds?
I've never seen this one. This is new to me. I agree with you, Justin. That's like a pretty solid recommend if you like Twilight Zone type stuff. It definitely feels like some Twilight Zone-y shit. It's weird. It's from 1966, and it's got some like really interesting kind of like art house cinema stuff happening, but it also kind of has that like more classic cinematic vibe with like some of the language used and like how the actors and actresses like carry themselves. It feels like, I don't know, more like classic Hollywood in a way. It's a cool blend of those two things. There's some cool like science fiction premises kind of going on, and it's very much about it has a message. It's there to like make you ponder. I recommend it for sure. So Randy?
Twilight Zone is a good correlation, but I do want to point out that it doesn't have the camp factor of Twilight Zone. That's the only caveat I would add to that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
it doesn't have quite the same level of camp.
Yeah.
Pretty serious. Pretty serious. Sounds somewhat favorable from the Straight Chilling crew, I would say. Thanks for not fucking us over there, Kelvin. Throwing us down.
Wow, it's been a while since somebody was kind to us, intentionally giving us something enjoyable.
Hashtag
I don't know. Didn't we do a
appreciate you.
Patreon pick like a couple weeks ago?
I'm being
we don't
facetious,
have
but
to rehash the past.
let's not litigate all of our Patreon picks today.
Just con you guys out.
Probably not what we want to do. So let's go ahead and drop that spoiler warning, and we'll get into the rest of the movie. Here we go.
Spoiler warning.
You've been warned. All right, I do have a synopsis.
Plop synopsis, Bob?
Plop synopsers. Got it.
Plop me.
Let me plop you. All right. Mr. Hamilton, our main character, is a Harvard grad and a well-to-do banker with a wife, a large house, and is essentially living the American dream. One day, Mr. Hamilton is followed by a stranger throughout a train station who ultimately slips him a piece of paper with an address on it. We then find out Mr. Hamilton has also been receiving mysterious phone calls from an old college buddy who has passed away. Charlie, the man on the phone, convinces Mr. Hamilton he is indeed still alive, and he urges him to go to the address he was given at the train station. Mr. Hamilton is also told to use the alias Wilson when he arrives. When Hamilton gets to the address, he is drugged and staged in such a way as to imply he's forcing himself on a woman. This is also being filmed, unbeknownst to Mr. Hamilton, for blackmailing purposes. Hamilton finally has a consultation with a man who is discussing like how to stage his death and provide him with facial reconstructive surgery, and the whole reason for doing these things is basically to give Mr. Hamilton a clean slate and like a fresh start, a brand new life, basically. Hamilton is apprehensive, and he insists that he's not interested in doing any of this. However, the blackmail footage is then used to keep him in line. They play some head games with him as well and convince him that maybe his life isn't all that great. Like, what does he have to lose? Hamilton ends up going through with everything, and he's transformed into a brand new man with a new face and a new life. He's relocated to Malibu. He ends up making some friends with his neighbors, and he ultimately finds out that all of his neighbors are just like him. He becomes disenfranchised with his new life and decides to visit his former wife, who now believes she is a widow. He gains some insight through conversing with her. He finds out that he was basically seen as kind of an absentee husband who sat idly by. Hamilton then returns to the mysterious company and says he wants yet another fresh start. He wants another new name and new face, and he's going to get everything right the third time. The company then straps Mr. Hamilton down to a gurney and murders the shit out of him. They plan to use him as a cadaver for a new client who needs to appear deceased and needs a new start. That's basically the plot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah,
dark
that's,
shit.
Yeah.
It is, and even when you're describing it, things that like didn't seem as dark at the time kind of started to bother me a little bit, honestly.
Yeah. Like what?
Mainly just the initial kind of manipulation scene. At the time, I guess, I wasn't sure where everything was leading.
Yeah.
And I just watched this last night, so it is fresh. So I haven't had like a ton of time to chew on it. So I think I might get a little like more bitter and pissed off. What the fuck was
I don't know what that was.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
Don't need to worry about that.
Somebody's on Chatterbait, aren't they?
We got to go back to the tape for that one, Randy.
I'm about to get fired from the New Yorker.
I don't know. Yeah, I think this will be a good discussion. There's some interesting things going on here.
Yeah, I like how this movie opens up sort of out of nowhere, and you think this dude is like maybe on the run, like somebody's following him to a train station. You're like, okay, is this guy like a private detective, or like you're just kind of thrown into the middle of it. You don't know what's happening. Mr. Hamilton's been getting these crazy phone calls in the middle of the night from his old college buddy, who is dead apparently, but his like college buddy went through the whole process that Mr. Hamilton eventually goes through throughout the context of this movie, and that's why he thinks he's dead. He got a new life himself, and sort of sponsored our main character to then be transformed into a new person. And so like Charlie, his buddy, is like the reason he's going through all this crazy shit.
Well, that and his like clear depression. Like this is a character who's clearly miserable, and by my money, I've seen different takes on this. I watched this yesterday, and I've been like looking at different people's interpretations of it and things like that. And to me, there's a lot of people saying that like it's a misogynistic film, and there are some evidence towards that end. But and a lot of the evidence about that comes from the wife and the way he treats her. But to me, it's like, I immediately sympathized with that woman. I don't know about you guys, but like I immediately was like, this is a woman who's trying her hardest to have a intimate relationship with a man who has nothing but like unadulterated, unfiltered self-interest on his mind at all times. He has no interest in anything but his fantasy about what his life could be if he had taken different routes. Otherwise, like she tries to give him a kiss, and it is the saddest kiss I've ever seen in a movie. Even she recognizes it.
I didn't get that necessarily from the character. I mean, that's what it ultimately becomes. But I mean, it really is just, and once they break it down later, once she like breaks it down, I think that was a really powerful scene.
Yeah. When she comes back into the picture?
When he comes back. Yeah. When he comes back as a different person, and she's able to kind of break it down. And now I think the problem is like, even then though, the problem is I don't know if it's just completely like absorbed. I didn't find him as a completely like narcissistic kind of person, because then even after the fact that he hears that and it's a sobering like reality, I think he makes the choice of like, I need a new start and I need to choose this time. Like he realized like where his life went wrong, where like, where he had wronged her, where he lived a life out of obligation, essentially, where he tried to do what he thought was like being a good husband, like being there for his wife, even though he didn't love her, and like supporting a child and putting her through a good school, even though he was in like an unhappy job or things like that. He just
pursuing what he was told he needed.
Yeah.
I agree with you,
which is sad. Which is really sad. So I didn't see him as like a narcissistic person. I mean, it does suck that like he would be like, yeah, I'm going to fake my death and make people think I'm like dead.
Well, that's the thing is like he does this. He like, you're right. Like he does have those realizations, but all his realizations are about his role in the world. He pays no second of of concern towards his abandoned family. Like, I don't care. Like, you are a selfish person if you do this, is my opinion. So, like, just from ground up, you're being selfish. And not only that, but you could argue, and I've seen it argued, I don't particularly agree to this, but just for the sake of argument, it's argued that him not revealing himself and not like telling her like, I did this, I fucked up, it's my problem, and I left you alone, and now I'm going to do you the grace of backing out of your life and allowing you to live without me muddling things up for you. Like, that would have been the honorable arc for him to take, is what a lot of people say. I think it's like a little more honorable, or a little bit more less horrible to just let her go with, like, let that whole being that he's already let be dead.
I agree. I think it was more out of,
but I don't think he did it for her. He did it for him. I still think that he was acting out of his own interest the whole way through.
I think they could be argued, because at this point he's already seen like what this society is like capable of. And like, if he was like concerned for, because they obviously don't want their identity or what they're about revealed. So, I mean, if he was considering that, like, I mean, and here's why I have a little bit of like more empathy for this guy. I completely agree. It's like a selfish thing, but this guy, what happens is this thread is pulled, and part of the horror of this and reflecting on it is that he kind of stumbles into this situation where it's not like he like jumps for joy at this opportunity. He is like, it's like hinted at, and he's curious because his dead friend is essentially calling him and telling him, I can give you like this amazing life. Now, he doesn't like say like what's going on, but it's not until it's like too late. There's not like a whole lot of straight choice where he's like, I am going to choose to pretend to be dead and leave my family. Once it's gotten to that point where he knows what's actually going to happen, he has no choice. Essentially, he's in a strange building with a bunch of strange people that he cannot get out of, and now they have tape of him like not really raping a woman, but raping a woman, and so like, and he's been drugged at this point. He's been drugged a couple times. So I mean, I do have more sympathy than just like he totally abandoned his family and like fuck him.
I agree, man. He doesn't like, and they totally manipulate him too at that point. Like they have the blackmail footage, but they also like talk to him, and they're like, I mean, what's your marriage like? Like, what's your relationship with your kid? Like, do you even enjoy your job? Like, they just break him down, and he's it seems as though like he treats that situation the same way he's really treated the rest of his life, just sort of like almost going through the motions and like letting other people sort of guide him to where they want him to be in a way. And like, his character doesn't change in that moment to me. He's just sort of like a pushover, I guess. He doesn't make decisions for himself. He lets other people make the decisions. And in that moment, I think that's what happens. And then he gets a second life, and it's awful. And then I think he kind of wakes up and he's like, okay, now I'm going to fucking take charge. I'm going to do it again. But it's just too late by then.
That's the thing, is like, I don't like, I agree. There's like undeniably a ton of manipulation aimed at him. He is backed into several corners, but he, like, for example, he gets into a fucking meat truck and is carted across town into this secret alleyway. Like, there's no way he does that sight unseen without knowing something about what's going on. My read on the situation was that let Charlie explain to him, you could have a new life. And he's at the beginning, the first conversation we see him having with Charlie, they've already spoken. And he's like, you've got to do this. What have you have there? You got nothing. Like, they've clearly already talked about this. So I think he knows what's being presented to him. He doesn't fully believe it yet, but he's allowing himself to be led by his desires. Like, he has the choice at that time. And by the time he gets to the building, they start heavily manipulating him because they want that money. They really want that fucking dude's money. And there's no question that he is pushed in this direction. But I think that he does have a level of choice. Like, if he didn't, then he wouldn't be there in the first. Like, then, like, he's not. I don't think he's that much of a pushover. He's a bank person who's like, the only thing we see doing at his original job is telling somebody, "No, we're not going to give you a loan." Like, he's not a full pushover.
I think
he's just.
I think
miserable with his life.
The entire like a culmination where this comes to is that conversation with his wife, where she is. I mean, breaks him down in a way that he was not even able to self-reflect, where she says, like he lived his life not knowing what he wanted and not even making the choice to try to find out what he wanted. Like he literally like lived a life of obligation to what he thought he was supposed to do. And so, and that's like kind of the same thing. And honestly, it's a little even like, and maybe it's just me putting myself in this situation. And I think this is where it's going to be interesting because we're like dudes who, I mean, I feel like in some way can like put ourselves in this situation in some point. But like if one of you motherfuckers died and then called me and was like, dude, I'm still alive, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like I like even just outside the realm of like, I can give you this new life, I might be like, what? Like, why are you mysteriously not dead? Like, I mean, that's a hard string to pull, man. I mean, to just not follow that thread. I mean, you would just, because he even says like, I'm not going to call back after this. So even that's part of the manipulation. Like, hey, I'm your long lost dead friend calling you. And I'm saying like, you have no way to reach me except to show up at this address. You don't really know what's going to happen. And I'll never call again if you don't show up. No, it's like, what?
See, to me, he definitely knows what the end game is. And he's still making those decisions. You're right that like curiosity would lead me potentially to go to that building. But at the point where I'm sitting there and not being allowed to leave, I'm breaking my ass out of there. There's nothing that will keep me in there except for a lack of doors and windows. And I don't see, I would jump out a 3rd-story window rather than be trapped in a fucking crazy ass
and I guess
Fincher the game office building.
Well, and the problem is at that point, once he's
allowing himself to be led on some level is what I'm saying.
But at that point where he's in the building, he has been drugged. So it's like, I guess it's just,
he was drugged once I don't know. He was drugged. And the thing is, I mean, yeah, you're supposed to feel some sympathy, and that's kind of not the problem, but this is kind of like the line that the straight razor that they're walking on with this movie, because inherently he has to be a kind of unlikable person to do this at all. But he's also carrying the movie. You're supposed to sympathize with him on some level. So it's straddling that, I would argue, really well. The fact that we can like split that hair right now
that's true,
is I think a pretty good sign for his character. So like, I think that I don't think either one of us is wrong. I think it's amalgam of those two things. Like he's both led by his curiosity and led by his desire to do what, like anything to shake up his life in a way that he's been afraid to his whole life because of however he thinks about his life. So I think it's not just one thing. And the thing is, that's what makes it scary, because you're right. Like anyone who's like lived to our ripe old age and, you know, has made certain decisions, they think about what might have been if I had done this, if I had gone to a different school, if I had made friends with this person, if I had stayed in contact with X, Y, and Z. You know, those what ifs drive a lot of people's fantasies. And I think that it's not unfair to say that most people our age have had a fantasy of like, what if I just had suddenly a new life, no questions asked, all ties severed, but you know, I was installed into a new life and have this weird fantasy. But it's a fantasy. You know, you can't do that without leaving ripples in your wake, and the ripples are your family in this guy's case.
Well, and to be fair,
so it's really hard to be too sympathetic to him. I think it's dangerously easy to fall into sympathy for him after following him through so much. But I think it's a mistake to lose sight of the fact that he's doing something awful this whole movie.
To be fair, though, I mean, these people, they set him up real good.
Yeah, I don't know how this business is fucking profitable.
Yeah. Also, like his wife, even though he does straight up leave, like she seems fucking fine. Totally fine.
She does, but that's only because he sucked as a husband in the first place.
Yeah.
So he's a truly introspective person, like Justin said, and like we discussed, might have sat there and been like, it would be cruel for me to take away this happiness that I've given her by disappearing.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's thinking that way. My opinion is that he's sitting there reflecting on what he's done wrong so that he can get his next step right. He thinks he's going on to a third life. He's going for thirds right now in a situation that almost nobody gets a second shot, and he's already fucked his up really badly. So I don't know. Like, I think it's like his selfishness pervades this whole movie, and it only really stops at the end when he realizes, like, he's talking to Charlie, and maybe it doesn't really end, but he's talking to Charlie and he's like, I think you're going to get it right this time. I think you got the perspective. And he's like, got the perspective himself to where he can be like, it's not about things. It's not about getting what you're supposed to get. It's about the people you meet and the things that you do. You know, that lesson comes way too fucking late for this guy, and he could have realized that by just having a conversation with his fucking wife. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, his like second life where he does. I mean, they set him up real nice in Malibu with a baller house and like a pool, and it's on the beach. They give him like everything that he could ever want. It looks like an even better life than what he had before,
made
which was
him
nice.
a successful artist. They made him.
But also,
I love that
That's
aspect.
insane.
We could talk about that in a second. But
Yeah, let's get there.
I want Rob to
finish up. Rob, sorry.
I was just gonna say he didn't ask for any of that. He didn't he said he wanted to be an artist like while he was under the influence of drugs or hallucinogens or whatever, and they record that conversation. But that's all he says. He doesn't say like he wants to live in Malibu or be super rich or famous or anything like that, or like he just wants to like paint. I guess they just give him all this crazy shit, and then he realizes like he doesn't want it, but he never really asked for it in the first place, you know?
They do offer him freedom, though, and that means money in our society. That means having the money to do what you want to do when you want to do it. But he also has to be low profile, so they say, we're not going to give you all the money in the world or make you the most well-renowned person. You're going to be respectable, though, and you're going to have what you need. So on some level, yes and no. Yes and no again. It's not one or the other, really.
That's what's like kind of funny about this film, too, because even the villains, like the dark manipulators, it's like presented in this way where like logically, like they like, it's funny because they present it from a business standpoint, and from a business standpoint, they're actually running it like well, or kind of like responsibly. I mean, they set this guy up, and like you guys said, they give him the freedom, but it's not just in the idea of money. It's not just like, here's a bunch of money, now you're going to be happy. They literally like forge these documents that say he went to this art school, and they even say like, you're established as an artist now. So like, you don't even have to, like, we will provide the painting. So you don't have to worry about the job. So literally you have the freedom to pursue your dream, no matter what. Like, if you want to draw stick figures, you want to do this, it'll translate. Like, we have worked this out to where like you'll be successful. So really all you have to do now is live the life that you want to live. Go live the life. What do you want to do? And then, but that's too much for him. He can't accept that he didn't earn it, that he didn't choose those things, that he didn't gain like the popularity himself or like stuff like that. And that's kind of like his revelation. It's like, no, you have to have choice. You have to do it yourself. But he could have literally done anything that he wanted to once he was in that house.
He made the choice on some level. He didn't have total utter control, because that's what you're paying for, supposedly. Yeah. But you're right. And the thing is, like, this movie reminds me a lot of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind in the sci-fi aspect of it, where, and spoiler alert on that for real quick, but at the end of that movie, the character of Joel, played by Jim Carrey, he decides that he doesn't want this company to remove his memories of his failed relationship because he treasures the memories of that. And so it's the same sort of thing of like, yeah, you may think you know what you want, but slapping like $1 million down on the table and saying, go ahead and rip the memories out of my head, or go ahead and, install me in a new life, that's not necessarily going to make you happy. Your problems follow you. Your past is still your past, no matter what the documents say.
Well, and that's a lesson. I mean, that's the whole point of the movie, is like that, you think you're going to be happy, but you're not actually happy. And that's how people, and the
reason is because you're valuing these things that you are told to value, even the like artist lifestyle, even the things he wants from that are on some level a desire of image or a desire of personality. Like, he wants to have the cult of personality. He wants to be fucking in the factory with Warhol or some shit, like, or whatever the 40-year-old man in the 60s version of that is. He wants that. So it is coming from a place of desire as much as it's a pure desire to create. It's also corrupted by a desire for image and power as well on some level. But he realizes that part is all he's getting. He's not getting the talent that he wants. He's not getting the experiences that he wished he had.
See, I see it a little bit different. I see it differently, I guess. I don't think there's much difference between the life he had before and the life he has afterwards, because I think what he's really missing ultimately, and I can think one of the like big things is loneliness. Like, he's alone. Like, even when he's with his wife, he is not himself. They try to kiss and they sleep in these different beds. His like daughter is disconnected. So he lives his life where he's successful. He's in the bank. He's got a secretary. Like, he's got a nice house in suburbia. So it's not like he's like, they take him from squalor.
No, I'm not saying it's that. Just, I'm actually saying what you're saying.
No, I know.
Okay.
But it's just like, I guess it's harder to demonize, because really he's alone, and no matter what he does, he can't figure out why he's alone. And that's like sad. That's like sad.
And that's relatable. That's the relatable
thing. And and I guess that's why, with the fact that his wife is not even that broke up about it, and I think why he's okay choosing a third life is because he's carrying that guilt around a little bit. I mean, I think he is like like, I did leave my wife, like, oh, I might be a grandfather now. And while I feel like he regrets it, I think it's still part of that like obligation mindset that he's lived his entire life. I mean, you can't just change your whole life and like also change your mentality like overnight. And we see him struggle with that a little bit. Where he's like, I don't know what happened with my wife. Is she okay? Like, is she being taken care of? But ultimately, before or after, he's just alone, and he doesn't know why he's made all the right decisions technically, and he just doesn't know why he's alone, and that's like pretty fucked up.
See, I mean, I think you're right to say that his life before and his life after are very comparable, and in all the ways that his life before doesn't work, it still doesn't work because he's still himself, like you say, and that's like you said, the kind of the crux of the movie. I still think, for me, I'm not demonizing him. I don't think, by saying that it's a shitty thing to do to leave your family to pursue your own interests, not understand. And like, he doesn't know when he makes that decision, or when he's even if you say he's backed into it, he does that on the assumption that they would be worse off without him. So they tell him all the ways they won't be. And it turns out that she is happier because he was a drain on her life as much, and like his faults bled into their marriage and made it not work. Is at least, I mean, I'm not going to put all the blame in his feet because we don't know like more beyond that, but I think that it's fair to say that if you do those things, you are selfish, and there's no two ways about that to me. Like, beyond that, we can also talk about the rape scene, which I think there's an argument to be made that he was drugged and that he was manipulated, and that woman may have been an actress. That was my first read of it, but I've seen other reads that maybe that's not explicit like I thought it was. So, but nevertheless, he went in there, and a woman who was at least acting like she was afraid of him. If he had any agency at all in that moment, this man is also a rapist. So we have to keep that in mind. I felt like
the way they shot that scene was very explicit that he was totally under the influence against his will, and like, I definitely picked up that woman was an actress. Like,
I think he said, or she was an employee. Now he's a manipulator. Yeah, he says like, "What? Don't worry, we hired a woman." I think he like straight up said that they hired.
So maybe
this woman.
I got bad info like after the fact, because I got that impression initially. But nevertheless, like, she can be an actress and you can still be raping somebody if you think that, like, you can still be a rapist because you're raping you're fucking somebody that you don't think wants it.
But I don't even think
you're a rapist,
did.
even if it's not really rape.
They didn't even have sex. It just kind of looked like it.
See, the information that we're given is that he
said you didn't ravage her, but that could mean a few things. So I wasn't sure.
Well, but he said we shot it in a specific way. I don't, with the information that was given, it made it seem like this is not real, but we made it look real.
Yeah. I mean, that's very possible. To me, it's not explicit enough to where I'm confident in that. I still think that, like, I don't know, if you're approaching a woman who is screaming no at you, like, unless you are completely devoid of your senses and you're completely fucked in the brain, you're strong enough to be able to walk towards her and know you want her and go towards her and like lie on top of her, then you probably have enough agency in yourself to be considered a date rapist. If you were very drunk and did that to a woman, you would be a date rapist.
I
What about?
I mean, he was given some sort of hallucinogen or something, and you can read into it what you will, but they put him in a situation where that was their end goal, was to make it look like he was raping this woman. And that's what
but
they
he
got.
didn't have to walk up to her. He didn't have to lie on top of her.
Maybe they just
Those
kind
are
of
things he makes
shoved
decisions.
him, you know? Who knows? I
We
think we're kind of
didn't
dissecting.
see that in either.
Yeah,
I think
but
it's important
also-
because it says something about the character of this man that we're trying to give, all these
I
don't
just
think-
assumed.
asses for.
I don't read this character as being like malicious in any way.
I doubt he would do that in his right mind. I would give him that.
Yeah,
Like if he was not drugged, I don't think that he would have done it. I think he was at least in a weakened state, bare minimum, for sure. But I
just
think it's
assume
important
they-
to point that out.
I just assumed they had a rigatoni safe word going on. I thought
Yeah.
this was a little.
I mean,
you're probably
I
right.
don't. I doubt they knew what rigatoni was back then. It's very, very high delicacy.
This
I don't
this
know, man.
character,
That really
like,
bothered me.
I feel like the what I kind of pull out of this movie, I guess, is like this guy is drained. Like he's lived his life the way he thought he should, and now he regrets it, and he wants freedom to choose a new life, essentially. So he gets the opportunity to do so, and reluctantly gets forced into doing it. And like the whole irony of the situation is like you were free in your normal life to choose to do whatever the fuck you wanted to do, and now when you like sign this contract with the fucking devil, essentially you're not free anymore. You have to toe the line, and you have to play by their
It's an
rules.
illusion of freedom.
Yeah. So I mean, he had the freedom to begin with. He was just too much of a pushover, or too afraid maybe to actually make the choices that he wanted to make, or even think about making them. He didn't even think about it.
And that, again, that's the really scary nugget at the center of this thing, is that's something that we've all kind of grappled with at one point or another. I think once you hit a certain age, I don't think it's possible to avoid you thinking about like having this feeling that something's not quite right, and you're not sure what. This is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. All that shit that David Byrne talks about. Like that's a pretty common occurrence where you're like, how did I fucking get in this part of my life? I didn't even know it happened, but I've somehow made all these decisions that led here. What are those branching paths I avoided? If I could jump over to one of those branching paths and see what it was, would I be happier? Would I be more free if I was the artist that I kind of latently wanted to be, but don't even realize it because I'm not thinking that way? All the what ifs. It's the what if story right here. This is, have you guys seen Mr. Nobody?
No.
Okay. Well,
I
if you
think I have
with Jared Leto.
Oh, is that one where it's like all out of space? Like it's not like linear or whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
It's basically
that's that
three
one, yeah.
different life paths depending on like 2 or 3 choices of this
That's
guy's
a
life.
weird
and you see
movie,
him.
yeah.
It is a weird movie, but it follows this same sort of idea in my mind. It's very related in terms of like the what ifs, like what if this happened? And at the end of that movie, it's kind of like, it doesn't really matter. You're going to end up in the dirt. It's kind of where that goes. Like, it doesn't really, you live your life as best you can. There's going to be problems no matter what.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're going to be in the dirt. So make it as good as you can while you can. That's the lesson that this guy needed to hear. If this guy had seen Jared Leto, he would have been fine.
Good
He
to
would have
go.
been fine.
Yeah.
Just needs to listen to some 30 Seconds from Mars, and he would have been fine. Right as
Yep.
rain.
I often forget that like that was his starting thing as 30 Seconds to Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now
It's
we have
crazy,
the
though.
Joker.
Yeah. That dude's I still think that dude's a good actor.
He is. I
He's
agree.
been great in several things. There's no
Yeah.
question. I never saw that movie, so I'm not going to comment on Joker. But
This movie, and here let's talk a little bit about what I found to be a truly kind of like horrific end, and and this is kind of what reminded me of a couple of things. Actually, it made me think of like the way Twilight, no, not Twilight.
like, all right, let's go
Zone?
there. Let's
Twilight
go there.
Zone, thank you. kind of spin things to make you think about it. It also it's a movie that I haven't seen in a long time. I really want to watch it. I know Bob has seen it because we watched it together, but Cloud Atlas. Do you remember that movie, Bob?
Yeah, vaguely, I do.
Yeah, but just the idea, because what happens in the end of this movie, I won't like spoil Cloud Atlas or whatever, but what happens in the end of this movie is he goes back after he's talked with his wife and he thinks he's got it figured out now. I know how to live life correctly. He is under the impression that the company is going to give him a second chance. And he finally gets to meet his friend, which would have made a big difference. I think if like that had
talked to him originally,
if he had been at the party or something, because that ultimately just comes down to loneliness ultimately. So if he had just had somebody to kind of commiserate with, I think it would have made a big difference. But he's finally able to see his friend, talk with him, and he goes back to the same weird room that he saw originally, where there's just a bunch of dudes in there and they're just waiting. And his friend gets called up first and he thinks like, oh, that's where people wait to get their third chance or whatever. So his friend goes off. He's happy for his friend.
They have to recruit first.
Yeah, they have to recruit. And then, oh my God. He gets called up, put him in a like this gurney or whatever, but then they strap him down. But they do it in such a way that's so scary to me. This actually was like the horror of it. He's mostly docile the whole time. Mm-hmm. It's like literally a like sheep being led to slaughter. Yeah. He's talking with the master manipulator or whatever.
Dude, the Faustian conversation that they have is so troubling. Because I mean, I don't know about you, but at least me as an audience member, I was like, "Yep, this guy is leading you to your death right now."
Oh yeah, and like once they
he clearly doesn't know.
Yeah,
they strapped him. He should have seen it coming.
It's like watching like a dog being let off to be put to sleep. It's like everyone knows except the thing. You feel terrible because and the way they do it. And I love how it kind of comes back full circle, because when they set this guy up, they had to say, we have to like fake your death or whatever, how do you want to do a car accident? They ultimately go with a fire in a hotel room or something. Right. But they even describe it like, part of the expenses goes to finding a cadaver who has similar features and of same height and things like that. And he ultimately becomes a cadaver for a new recruit or whatever.
The cadaver, what is it? The cadaver procurement service or something like that.
And so they kill him to use him in a fake death for a new recruit. And that's where all of those guys have gone. Yeah. They're just waiting they are sitting in that room unknowingly waiting for a new recruit that matches their similar height and body type and shit like that. Like that's so fucked. Oh my God. That's so dark.
It's very dark. The conversation that he has with the head honcho, who I'm just going to call Satan. So Satan's there and he's talking with him. That conversation is really affecting to me because the things he's saying, he does this perfect pirouette around the truth where he's like, it's okay to make mistakes. That's how we learn. But he's talking about this man as the mistake, not the life that he's now correcting. It's just so chilling to me. This guy and he did it with this very genial smile the whole time. He's got an old preacher huckster look about him. It's very, very troubling to me.
I like that. Thank you for that. It's great that you call him like the devil. Like I did not put like this idea of like, even like Bob mentioned too, like the deal with the devil, like you're signing a contract away where you think it's like the monkey paw. It's like where you think you're getting something good and it looks great. And at first it all is going good, like, oh, I got this house. I'm an artist. I'm free. I'm handsome.
And then
and
then your turkey sandwich is dry.
Yeah. And then it's dry.
It's a dry sandwich.
Dry Sammy. I cannot tolerate dry Sammys in my mouth.
The worst. I love that character though, sort of like the head honcho of this whole company. It seems like he's presented in a way when they have this conversation towards the end of the movie where he says like he started this company and he was like, quote, waging a war against human misery. And it seems though he had this idea for a company to genuinely help people. It seems like it came from a good place. And then he describes it as though the company grew and got so big that he couldn't necessarily like steer the whole thing anymore. It got bigger than him. And now he's just sort of along for the ride doing these terrible things.
Now he's just looking for the next cash infusion.
Yeah.
That's also terrifying because that is bureaucracy as the devil.
Yeah,
That's a story happening within the story here.
Yeah. He's
very much like fucking 1984 shit. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
In that moment, he is now mirroring our main character who was just going through the motions in his own life, you know?
Yeah.
I like that no matter who you are, whether you're just a normal dude or the fucking devil, we're all going through the motions.
He's just following his dreams, and you gotta make some mistakes. That's the thing is he's using his own experience, doing exactly what this man's going through to lead this man to slaughter. Yeah. That is fucking dark.
It is, dude. When they strap him down to the gurney and they gag him, and he's like screaming bloody murder. That is truly a horrifying scene. And they roll him down the longest hallway that ever was built.
And then they drug his ass even more. Yeah. And then, oh man, the ending where you zoom into the light. And we got to talk about the cinematography in this too in a second.
Yeah.
They zoom into the light and then it like fades into some memory of a father and his daughter, it looks like, which theoretically, I mean, you got to assume is him. Right. It's a memory that he's having now stripped from him as his life is being taken away in pursuit of a better life. Yeah. Fuck. Fuck.
It was disturbing. It was chilling, but a lot of this movie, I like the idea of the devil now, because even when they set this dude up, he's got this butler, his name's John, but it's all just so like unsettling. It's all just not right, but it seems like it should be like, it's all good. I feel like they do a great job. I at least felt it was easy for me to put myself in a lot of these situations where it's so easy to see like, oh, my dead friend calls up like, oh, I feel not quite satisfied with my life. Oh, I get tricked in this situation where I don't see a way out. Oh, well, maybe I can make this work or whatever. Oh shit. I like really regret being talked into this and just, And now I'm dead. Now I'm strapped. Now I'm strapped to a bed and I'm dead. Like it's you.
There's some thresholds you can't uncross.
Yeah, they lead you down a path, at least for me, where everything at least seemed reasonable. Like, did he make a bad choice? Absolutely. Was it like a very selfish, bad thing to do? Absolutely. But could I see it like myself making those same kind of decisions under very similar circumstances? I could, like, honestly.
That's what's scary about it.
It is, because then at the end, you're the one in the bed. Like, I got talked into this terrible situation where I thought it was going to be good. Or I was just kind of curious. And then all this shit happened. And it literally, because it feels like you just, once you start to tumble, you just fall to your death. Like you can't stop.
I heard it argued also that this movie this movie is about a man with depression also, like not just even like putting it in clinical terms, he's under depression, which makes you make self-destructive choices at times. So, I mean, there's some sympathy to be had for this man for sure, but some of the stuff that he does like is just unforgivable and just kind of on its face, but he's still your protagonist. And the fact that you can understand how he got to those points is the horror of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think that's really kind of brilliant. But if you want to talk about some negatives real quick, I do like if you are not into slow burn, I mentioned this in the recommends, the middle portion where he's living in Malibu, he meets Nora or Lorna. Was it Nora?
I think it's Nora. Yeah.
Okay.
Nora.
Meets Nora, who's like this free spirit, like 60s type lady who's also abandoned her family, and we later find out that she's not even a fucking real person. She is a hire from the company, just like everything else in his life. Everything in his life is Truman showed at this point, and when he realizes that, he's extremely drunk, so he doesn't take it well. I don't know, like I think that whole thing is so full of despair, because I was tricked into thinking this woman was also like Like, I thought she was genuine. I had like some minor, like, I didn't close off the possibility that she was like a plant or something, but it's not something that I was relying on as I was watching it. And when that was finally revealed, I was like, fuck, man, they are really like, they're doing everything they can to make this man integrate into society, because they know that if they don't, then he's just going to like end up fucking things up for them, and they're going to have to deal with him. And he's just going to be at best a cadaver for them.
Yeah,
like,
I want to.
He's only kept alive for monopolistic reasons, or for capitalistic reasons. At that point, it's fucking gnarly.
Basically, yeah. Whenever he gets like transferred into his new life, and everything is beautiful, and he's got this great house, and they give him this butler. But that dude John, his butler, is totally there to just watch him. Like he's watching him like,
yeah.
So he's
all
Try
the
to
also
influence him. I love how he like gets kind of irritated. He's like, "Don't you want to meet some friends?"
He's really
like, "Fuck you, John."
Yeah,
he's sold this promise of a new life in like pure, like complete freedom, but he is in fucking jail. He's got a jailer.
Yeah.
Like he can't do shit
true.
unless John is cool with it. And also this girl he meets who seems like, a cool, interesting person who might actually be interested in him is a
she
plant.
coaxes it out of him.
And
and it's a. Yeah.
We gotta talk about that fucking grape stomping part.
Yeah,
what
man.
the fuck? That is wild.
I am
shit.
not drinking that wine.
Ooh, that sounds like a hot Friday night.
To some, it was. There was like this orgy grape stomp going.
Dude, this was the 60s, bear in mind. So the flower child thing was in full swing. And this is an old man in a young man's body. So he is dealing with that. And we're seeing this through his eyes. The way it's shot is more horror. It's like a really fast cuts and really like chaotic shooting. And
see, even that was
really
relatable to me.
Yeah,
like in a way to where like you meet somebody and you're like, okay, I'm kind of into this person, or like or at least where you
and
feel
then they
like,
want to put it in your butt, and you're like, I don't want it.
Well, kind of like you're like, I want to try something new. So she's like, and he doesn't really know what he's getting into. She's like, I'm going to a get together, and he's like, can I come? Because he's just met the first person he feels like he could just chat with, and she's like, oh, it's gonna be a little while. And he's like, fuck it, I'll go, whatever. And so they go, and it turns out to be this wild.
It starts out pretty innocent, but then it turns into like this Bacchus themed orgy. It's fucking nuts.
And then he even tries to like kind of bail, but he rode with the chick. Like she drove him there, and so he's like, Nora, let's like get
off of him.
They literally like grab this dude,
you're going in the
strip him down and throw him into this freaking wine orgy.
You're going into the sangria, buddy. Into the literal drink.
I am not drinking that one.
Those motherfuckers have the dirtiest feet I have ever seen.
Dude, the feet are the least of my worries. That shit's going in every crack.
Pubed and fucking semen all over that wine.
No, that's a salty wine.
Isn't penetrating you. That's a bummer.
This wine is very nutty, and I'm not into it.
It's got a piquant aftertaste.
Tastes like some egg whites got in here.
It's what you might call an oaky afterbirth.
Afterbirth.
Oh, that's an office line. That's a very famous office line.
Okay.
Get over yourself.
Oh
Come on.
my god. Very nutty afterbirth.
Here's our recreation of that scene. So yeah, he's put in way over his head. And the thing is, they're just trying to pull him out into a sociable frame of mind. So just to make sure they want him to be happy. That's the thing, is like they're motivated by success, the success of their company, to push him into happiness. But they do it by pushing what he told them he wanted, when this is a man who is not considered really what he wants or needs. He's only considered what his like basic top of the mind desires are, and fixated on those in his entire life. So,
and that's what's part of it's great too, in a way, because if you look at it from this man, the devil or whatever, and like he's really, because I agree by it does seem like he's genuinely like, I started this company and I wanted to be successful, and I still want it to be successful. So if you think about it like that, but it's like so funny in a terrible, ironic kind of way that it's like, oh, okay, you're a middle-aged man, and they've done this hundreds of thousands maybe of times, and the simple mistakes of, oh, you're a middle-aged man who's unhappy with his wife, like, okay, what do you want? Oh, you want money, right? Oh, here's the money. Oh, you want to be successful, right? Oh yeah, here's success. Oh, you want a hot young chick, right? Here's a hot young chick. Oh, you want to go like stomp around and do some crazy shit with some hippies, right? Okay, here's that. Like if they were just able to make a dating website that pairs you with someone that you can just have a conversation with, then like all of their fucking troubles would be solved. Like, just, it's the idea, I guess. It's the same people who are making this man's same mistakes are making the same mistakes of assuming they know what a lonely, depressed person wants, and they just throw it at them. Yeah. And they're making the same mistake that man is making. Yeah.
They're selling a monkey's paw, like you said. And the thing is, like, it's a motivating factor for a company. It's brilliant because what do you do as a company? You start a company that gives people what they want. Well, what do they want? They want a whole new fucking life. And I'm going to give it to them. I'm going to give them exactly what they want to the T. I'm going to give them that artist loft. I'm going to give them Malibu on the beach. I'm going to give them money. I'm going to give them friends. And guess what? That's not what they fucking need to be happy.
Yeah. Another thing the owner of the company says is they have a really high rate of failure. I thought that was really interesting too, because you don't need stuff and things and and that's kind of what our main character realizes, like, it's about the people, right? But you're just gonna randomly have a new life and just go like make new friends and maybe find a new wife and then all of a sudden be a different person. But that's not what you're gonna be. The same fucking person. You're not a new person.
Your brain has not changed.
Yeah. And the basic, but see, like you get pulled into the idea of where the mistake comes from. Like, oh, now that I don't have to worry about money, now that I don't have to worry about my
There's always a reason.
A profession. Exactly. There's always a reason you're getting in your own way. Well, I'm focused on pursuing my career. Well, I don't have to do that anymore. I'm an established artist that doesn't have to worry about what people think. But that's the illusion. I don't know. It's pretty smart. You see where the mistake comes from. And that's why I even like the idea of the devil, because that's kind of the idea of the devil is not like the goat man stomping down, not VHS 2 goat man stomping down the hallways coming to get you.
Well, let's not rule that out.
He's trying to give you, he's very alluring and makes sense and, tries to give you what you say you want or whatever. And that is the true idea of it. And that's pulled off really well in this movie. So that's why I like the idea of that guy's the devil, even though he's not.
There's not even a question that there's a correlation between this and Faust. I don't know how familiar you are with that, but the story of an old man coveting something he can't have because he's an old man and he's lived his life a certain way. And then the devil shows up and says, guess what? If you just sign this paper, you're going to get to go do those things, all those things. And guess what? Again, it's not what not what it was cracked up to be, because you're still the person you are in your internal organs, in your soul, in your heart, in your brain, whatever you want to call it. Those things don't change. And there's a lot of stories about this, but I think this is a pretty strong one because it also works in the fact that the man that started the company, like you guys are saying, started the company, was also motivated by a dream, a desire to end human misery. But then he got tied up in the machinations of the reality, the day-to-day of actually making that happen, which I can't imagine how this fucking thing is profitable. But that's just for starters. The amount of money they pour into each of these people to give them a fucking place in Malibu and shit, that's nuts.
They do mention cashing in on people's life insurance, but even then though, how many millions of dollars did that house in Malibu cost?
He's almost a New York bank owner. He's only given this opportunity because he's wealthy.
Yeah, probably.
Well, yeah, that's true. But also, if you're capable of forging documents that literally say, I went to this school and I'm and are able to forge establish someone as a profitable artist, if you're able to make an artist profitable, then you don't need to trick people into, you don't need this shit that you're pulling.
That's the real trick, making art.
Yeah, then you want to end misery. You take your skill at making profitable art without even fucking trying, apparently, and turn all those proceeds out to the poor. And like, if you want to help the poor, that's the thing, is like, he says explicitly, the devil says explicitly in this movie, he's like, I wanted to help every man, but there's no fucking coupon day for this company. You know what I mean? These people are the wealthy people that are getting this opportunity because they have what they need. That's their lifeblood, money. That's how this thing's being run. Now that he's run his course, he doesn't have life insurance at this point, none to speak of. Like, and once he's going for his third round, he has nothing. He has only what they've given him, and they can just take that right back and make him into a cadaver for the next guy who has cash. Yeah. So it's like their lifeblood is literally their lives, and that's its own parable going on in this thing. I think it's the fact that it works on all these levels is fucking fabulous. And the harshest complaint I feel like I could levy at it is sort of the more melodramatic middle third.
It does drag its ass. He takes long, slow walks on the beach alone. And like in a similar way, we were talking about like Halloween 5, where sometimes it felt like they just took a scene and they just stretched it out, where it's like, holy shit, you guys are really just trying to like bank for time, it feels like.
Yeah. See, for me, it doesn't feel that way in this movie. In this movie, it felt like for me, it's like, okay, you've made this decision. Now we're going to sit with you as you sit with it.
Yeah.
And that's how I was feeling about it. And I was like, man, of course you can't fucking paint. What are you even trying for? You've never painted. You have watercolors and that's it. Like you didn't pursue this. This is not your talent. If you really want to make this happen, it's going to take a lot more than one afternoon, man. You can't get frustrated after like a half an hour. Like you don't really want this life. What you wanted was happiness. And that's a nebulous idea that doesn't come with a fucking bank account number.
Yeah.
I think it's about time to land the plane. Do you guys have anything else?
Hang on. I do. I wanted to bring up I think there's two things. I forgot the second one. Maybe it'll come back to me. But one was I wanted to get you guys' take on it because it felt like they started to pull a thread that I was really curious about. Like a little Easter egg. And as far as I know, I don't think it ever came to fruition. But when he first is going to his new home and he's like gets off the plane, somebody at the airport comes up to him. Now at this point he has a new face. So was the idea that they are turning him into someone that already existed, or like that was really confusing to me.
Yes. Okay, I didn't understand that at first either until the end. And then the end kind of solidified it for me. To me, he's like the character of Anthony, what's the new life, whatever. That's an established life. That's Wilson. Okay, yeah, Wilson's life is established. That's why they're like, well, we have to find the right cadaver that's your right build or whatever, and then we got to install like his face into you, and then I think they're installing him into maybe another life that they have forged and created. But they've created for this purpose, and somebody else is going to be put into that position. So maybe his friend Charlie.
I see. So anyone who essentially fits that kind of build is essentially installed into this life. Now they might change their profession based on like what they say they want, but essentially, if you're this high in this build, you're going to Malibu.
Potentially, yeah, or at least they're like, I don't know. To me, it's like that face has been walking around before. Is what somebody has had his face, and from some other cadaver, from some like who knows how many cycles it's gone through where they've made this person look like him and then the next person look like him. But this is the original face of Rock Hudson that they've been putting multiple people in, and when that person fails to be happy, they put it on the next guy because why waste a nice home in Malibu with all of these accolades?
Okay, all right. That was a little confusing to me.
Yeah, so that guy knew some former version, and he's like, "Oh, where are those models?" He's like, "That's not even part of his fantasy."
Yeah.
I love that guy in the airport. Like how amped he was. He was like,
that guy's
he was at 11. I loved it.
And he did not let Rock Hudson speak at all.
Oh yeah. If I was in a rush, I'd make you buy me a drink. Okay, buddy. I'll see you later. Bye.
That was very Twilight Zone character, by the way.
Yeah, I can't think of that last one, so we can just go on then. All right. Yeah. Oh well.
All right, well, let's go and rate this thing out of 5. Juice, why don't you kick us off? How are you feeling about Seconds?
I did it pretty good. The one thing we didn't talk about, the cinematography, that actually did kind of bother me starting off, was they shot things very strange sometimes. Like, so the first scene where we're walking through the train station, they shoot it at an angle as if you were like a very small child or like a gremlin following this dude around. Like, it's very low and unnecessarily pointed up high, and it's very shaky. And a lot of these things, like some of it got me in a irritated, like psychological state where I've stated before, sometimes, you know, like The Shining or like Kubrick stuff, like really kind of gets under my skin and bothers me. It kind of had a little bit of that feel where these opening scenes were shot so like strangely that, and like some of like the audio choices were like really like bothering me on a visceral kind of level. I was like, motherfuckers, what are you doing?
Bothering you to where you weren't happy with it, or bothering you like you think intentionally to where it enhanced to you?
Well, I mean, I like physically wasn't happy with it, like psychologically. Now it could have enhanced the idea.
Experience overall.
Yeah, it could have. Right. But at the time when I was experiencing, I was like, God damn it, what the fuck are they doing? So there were some choices like that that it could be seen as successful choices. You know, maybe that's what they're going for, to bother me. But I liked the ideas. I liked chewing on this. Now the ride wasn't as exciting. I agree with Randy that middle section where he's like figuring out his life and painting and walking slowly on the beach and then going having like wine orgies, like it was definitely less interesting. And even the first part, it like starts off a little slow, even though it seems like you should be like running right out the gate, like because they drop you kind of right in this situation. But it wasn't until like the very end where everything kind of started paying off. Now it paid off like really well, I would say. And it's got some great ideas, and I felt like it wrestled with some really relatable, real things. And of course we got to give half star for the Yabos, because God knows that wine orgy had Yabos. So I think I think I'll give this movie a 3-star, and then I will tack on the half star for the Yabos, wrapping us up at a 3.5.
All right. Randy, how you feel about Seconds?
I feel pretty damn good about this movie, especially like having this conversation even solidified that for me. I think this movie's really fucking smart. It's really smart take on the Faust story. And it integrates a lot of like, you know, then and currently modern fears about, you know, the role of venture science corporations and the sci-fi model of the future and all the, I don't know, like the idea of this company that can alter your life in such a substantial way, but you can't escape it and they manipulate you into it. That's terrifying, because companies manipulate people all the time. I mean, I work in advertising. They manipulate people all the time.
You're manipulating us all the time, Randy.
Yeah, if I was really that good at it, we would have a lot more followers. But anyway, so I don't know. Like, to me, it's a fucking. I want to talk about the cinematography again. I love the cinematography, and I think it was definitely built out of choices. The low angle, like that's very like a man's being followed. We're watching it from surreptitiously from below, or we've got this like high shot of just like a part of his face. It's, I don't know, it's a man stuck in his own life, in his own mind, as somebody is following him. I think that's smart. I like the shaky cam because you don't see a ton of that in this era of filmmaking, at least not that I recall. It really put me on edge, like seemingly how Justin felt about it, and I was there for it. I loved it. I think that, and also I want to point out that the credits of this, the opening credits, were done by Saul Bass, who is like the credits guy, the guy who like is credited most of the time with, you know, making opening titles an art form instead of just something that you have to do, something you have to put on screen to give people credit. And that shows. Like, I was so into the idea, like they were filming things through water and showing like things get warped, his face getting warped, shots from the movie. I don't know. It's tough to describe, but go check out the title card if you haven't. So I was in for that. And when I saw it with Saul Bass, I was like, fucking, yep, of course it was. Anyway, I just think that this movie deals with relatable things and plunges you down a rabbit hole that while you don't want to be there and you're smart enough to know better, you're watching a character that's falling into traps that are made for someone like you. And it shows. If you feel it, you feel the magnetic pull of some of these choices that he's making. Not all of them, but some of them. And a smart man would walk away, a man who is not like drugged, not depressed, whatever, they might walk away. And even somebody who was drugged or whatever might walk away knowing that this is a bad idea to leave your fucking wife and family behind, because whether or not you've lived your life of obligation, you do have obligations now. It doesn't matter if you want it or not anymore. You have them. You've, again, already crossed that threshold and you can't take it back. If you do, you need to do it directly instead of doing this fucking Walter White disappear in the night thing. I mean, he doesn't even say goodbye to his fucking wife. Like, I don't know. To me, it deals a lot with just satisfaction in life, what's important in life. And these are not new novel concepts. We see them in a ton of movies. I've made a lot of correlations already, but I think that this one does it in a really interesting and really sort of, tremor-inducing way. The psychological fear that I felt with a lot of these things really, really pushed it over for me. And again, I like the cinematography. The middle third dragged a little bit, and I could totally not fault anybody for feeling that way. But for me, it let you sit in the mess that you're creating for yourself, which I think is important for him to do and important for us to see. So overall, I got to give this a 4.5. It's a really fucking good movie to me. I will definitely be watching this one again, and I appreciate the pick.
All right. Thanks, Kelvin. Robert.
Yo.
Robert, out of 5, what are you going to give seconds?
Are you going to give a fart sound out of 5?
Definitely.
Yeah, don't forget the half star for the Yabos, please.
You know, you mentioned that, and I could have missed it, but I feel like the way that scene was cut with like the hippie grape stomping scene, everybody's getting naked, but I don't remember actually seeing any real nudity. I feel like it was all kind of obscured.
There was definitely Yabos in my version.
Really? Oh, okay.
I saw a little Yabos. It wasn't highlighted.
It wasn't like here's the Yabos right in your face, but even the main chick, like his main squeeze, that once she gets naked, you actually see her Yabos as well.
Yeah, gratuitous is not what I would call it, but
she licked my asshole a little bit.
Totally.
Yeah. Whoa! In the wine.
In the wine. I mean, you got to get it all.
I kind of love this movie. I thought this was really, really, really good. The cinematography is phenomenal. I thought it was shot fantastically. I know back in '66, it was no easy task to move the camera the way they did in this movie, as like bulky as it was back in the day, and they just move it very fluidly. There's certain situations where it feels like it's almost strapped to the character, and it like the point of view sort of pivots with them, and like when he's strapped to the gurney, the camera's like moving with the gurney down the hallway, and it puts you in the character's perspective, and it just like pulls you into the movie, and it feels all the more terrifying because of that. Phenomenal. The character, our main character, Mr. Hamilton, is relatable on some level anyway, or at least the position that he finds himself in is relatable, and that's where like the real horror comes from. I love that like it's not just him though; it's like this multi-layered, like multifaceted sort of like take on life, where like you definitely have like the bad guy, right? The devil. Who tried to start this business, to help people, basically, to help people be happier. And, he finds out that's not really fucking possible, but he can't stop the machine that he created himself. It's taken on a life of his own. And that's just like a really interesting to contemplate. I don't know. The whole movie it's a bit of a head scratcher. And I feel like anytime we talk about a movie, as long as we have, like, we've talked about this for over an hour, and I feel like we could talk about it for another hour. No problem. Like, there's so much more to discuss. I don't know. That's just like a sign of a really solid movie. I'm like grasping at straws here for like something negative to say about it. I guess the middle middle third rather, did slow down a little bit, but it didn't really bother me. It never pulled me out of the movie. I was kind of always right there with it. I never got bored with it. but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4.5. It doesn't like feel like a 5-star movie, but it's hard to articulate.
I honestly toyed with a 5.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Because I need. It really is hard for me to think of things that I don't like about it. Every time I think about it, I think about something like, well, that's a little weird, and then I'm like, oh, well, that works because of X. Like I was sitting here thinking, like, this guy, he goes to this company in order to escape being in like the waiting room of life, where he has nothing going on in his life. He's not able to get this because he doesn't have that, or this because he doesn't have this. But then it fucks up his second life so bad that he ends up in a literal waiting room for life. That's fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
That is hell.
Basically, yeah. He had life and he traded it for hell. This movie's great. That's going to put our aggregate at a 4.2. Let's go ahead and jump into a Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Seconds.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, everybody. For those who don't know, the Rotten Tomatoes segment is one where I'm going to have these gentlemen here answer for me a simple question. What do the critics and users think of this movie in an aggregate between 0 and 100%? And let me pull it up. I lost the tab.
Click, clack. Google.
Yep. Nobody look at me. Please, nobody look at me. All right. Bob, why don't we start with you? You're in high spirits. Let's go. What do you think this movie what do you think the critics gave this movie, I should say? And bear in mind that there are only 35 counted.
Okay. Well, that's pretty low. This feels like it would be well received by critics. Specifically, anything that gets like a Criterion release usually is fairly well regarded.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go on the higher end.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that, Bob.
Yeah. I'll go with an 80%, please.
80%. Juice, what about you?
Damn, Bob's been hitting right around where I want to go lately. I agree. I think this is definitely more of a critic style film. I think they're going to dig on this. 80's pretty high. Fuck it. 82.
82. All right. Well, you're going to $2 his ass. This boy right here came damn close. It was 89%. Juice takes it for this time.
Oh, can I get a hell yeah?
Nope.
She licked my asshole a little bit.
That's what you get.
I'll take that.
All right, good.
She didn't, though. That's not the saying. Okay. Continue.
All right. Juice, we'll start with you this time. We have 4,482 audience reviews for this film. What do you think? 0 and 100%. What do you think?
I think they're going to be lower. I do think they're going to be lower. So, I think still mostly people dig on this film, but I'm going to give it a 65.
65. All right. Bob, how about you? You feeling something?
Yeah, I think it'll be higher than that. So I'll play the comedy number 69, please.
Oh, 69 dudes.
Yes.
69 dudes.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
Steep price.
all right. Well, Bob, you are going to take it this time. And you guys, your logic was flawed because this movie is almost as popular with the audience as the critics.
Damn, really?
87%.
Nice.
That is surprising. Wow.
Nice.
Here's the critics' consensus, featuring dazzling, disorienting cinematography from the great James Wong Howe and strong lead performance by Rock Hudson. Seconds is a compellingly paranoid take on the legend of Faust. So there you go.
Hell
Pretty
yeah.
much, yeah.
Not
Pretty much
hell
what we
yeah,
figured.
but hell yeah.
Oh my God.
Hey, that's my line, buddy.
I know. That's
No.
what you get for
Here's one negative review from the critics, just because they're sometimes funny. The screen. Well, let's do this one. Viewing Seconds, you almost think the makers felt that they were imparting some Olympian truth for the very first time. Oh, well, that doesn't sound like an Olympian
Get the
truth.
fuck out of here.
Yeah. How dare you try to put meaning into your films?
Yeah.
You
You're so pretentious that I'm going to use the word Olympian to call you pretentious.
Poser.
fucking posers.
Do you
And
even
hard-
film? No.
Are you hard with us? No.
fucking?
So there you go. This is not certified fresh because we do not have the tally for that. We don't have enough critics to chime in for that. But I would say it's probably a pretty safe bet that it would be, in my mind.
Yeah.
So that's actually we're men of the critics and people this
Yeah,
week. We were what 84%, 4.2 by right. So
Yeah,
pretty close to the 89, the 87. We're right there with them.
Men
Right.
of the
Yeah.
Creeple. We got it.
Justin, once you turn 30, you're going to give this a 4.5 too.
Yeah, I think once I get close to that midlife crisis, I'm just too young for a midlife crisis.
I mean, your whole life's ahead of you, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah, you turn 30 and you go buy a Sea-Doo. All of a sudden, you love seconds.
Yeah, your tits
A
sag. The
Sea-Doo
whole deal.
or hundreds of blues. You know, those.
We all make choices, and we can't uncross the threshold, people.
That's true.
Yeah.
You're either a blue person or you're a Kawasaki person.
That's
Or a
true.
boys.
Neither the
Blues
twain
or
shall
boys,
meet.
right, Bob?
I made a-
Blues or
the
bo-
role.
I made a deal with Scream Factory, not the devil. So
It's $100 at night.
$100 a night. Oh shit! All right, Juice. Do we have any trivia for this?
I was telling Randy before we started this, there's like there's 28 pieces of trivia, but I was like reading some of them and they're pretty damn boring, to be honest with you. Like
So-
it was like he was actually drunk while he was playing drunk in the film.
Honestly,
I was like, okay.
Wow.
Pretty impressive, actually.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I mean, if your job is
can
just
read
to be
some.
drunk, then that's one thing. But if your job is to be drunk and have lines to say, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could do it.
All right, I'll read some. You know, I hit the bump. Ba, 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 ba.
It's totally time for trivia.
All
Fuck
right.
yeah, I'll read it. We'll see how boring this shit is. All right.
Maybe the rest are terrible, but
Yeah. Although this film is nowadays viewed as a cult classic, European critics at the Cannes Film Festival were so hostile to the film that director John Frankenheimer refused to leave nearby Monte Carlo, where he was shooting Grand Prix 1966 for the press conference. Rock Hudson was sent instead and was unable to answer the critical questions during the hostile session. God
Damn.
that fucking
Rock,
sucks.
you take care of this.
Rock, you got it. Don't worry about it. You'll be
That
fine.
damn-
It's gonna be a puff piece, Rock. It'll be fine.
Those damn Cannes Film Festival critics, man, they'll get you.
They're gonna beat the ass off of your body.
God damn.
Yeah, that's a good bump placement. Seconds has gained a cult status in later years and is frequently revived. According to the director John Frankenheimer, it's the only movie really that's ever gone from failure to classic without ever having been a success. Oh my!
I don't know
God.
if that's quite true, but maybe.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies out there.
All right, John. Let's calm down.
I mean, Silent Night, Deadly Night exists. Okay, the warm side of the door and all that.
and part two.
Okay, here's something that's a little interesting. Talking about this scene, the opening scene. In order to shoot in Grand Central Station without attracting too much attention, Frankenheimer hired a male model and a Playboy bunny to make out on the stairs while being filmed by a fake crew. This
Oh,
distraction allowed the real crew to shoot with a camera in a suitcase. That's some smart shit,
Nice.
man. Holy shit, that's some smart shit.
That's scrappy shit, man. I love that.
Yeah, me too.
And you thought this would be boring. We got Playboy bunnies.
Initially, director John Frankenheimer was reluctant to cast Rock Hudson, who he felt was a lightweight actor in comparison to Lawrence Oliver and Kirk Douglas.
Lawrence Olivier.
Oh yeah, sorry, Olivia. Yes. Other actors he wanted for the lead part. Dublah. It was only after Hudson's agent convinced him at a party that Hudson could do the role that he went ahead with Hudson.
Dude, that is so lucky. This is one of the things that we didn't cover, but the casting of him in this role is really kind of resonant with Rock's life. Do you guys know much about Rock Hudson at all? I don't know a ton.
I really don't.
Like sort of like one of the defining things about his story as it went on and whatever is his death, which happened in the 80s. He was in his 60s and he died of AIDS, and he was the first major celebrity, a confirmed bachelor, ladies' man character in Hollywood who passed away from AIDS just as they were sort of discovering that it was related to homosexuality. And it turns out he was a closeted homosexual his whole life. So the idea of like a hidden identity and presenting an artist to the world, like those are all things that this man lived.
Wow. Yeah. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a whole nother layer. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. I know.
This is sad and a bummer. And
got so many angles, it's almost just a curve.
Yeah. Man, Randy with the bumps this week. Those are appropriate.
I'm waiting for my shots tonight.
Yeah. So I'm going to leave you guys with a down note because this dude is just a depressing kind of guy. Beach Boys composer Brian Wilson saw this movie in a theater during its first run. Overworked and showing signs of a breakdown, Wilson both liked the theme of the movie about changing identities and starting over, and found its downside disturbing. He wondered later if musical rival Phil Spector had somehow convinced Columbia Pictures to produce the movie just to mess with his mind. I know.
That's pretty dark.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will leave you with that.
And yet Mike Love is the douchebag walking the earth right now. Fuck.
All right, boys. That was depressing trivia.
Yeah, it was.
I like your hat. All right. Thank you.
I like your hat.
I do.
Well, I'm not wearing a hat. My Jimmy's
That's bad placement. I got to even myself out.
I like it. You know what time it is, gentlemen? It's time to go hunting.
Cooter of the week.
Justin, what the hell's a cooter?
Let me tell you, Randy. Cooter is a straight chillin' exclusive character type.
We're very litigious.
Yes, we are. Who we like to hunt down.
We like to hunt copyright infringements as much as we like to hunt cooters. So watch out.
Yeah. Watch. Cooter has to hit 3 of these 5 points in order to be considered a cooter, but the cooter with the most points gets Cooter of the week. So what are the 5 points, you ask, Randy? Let me tell you. They are manipulation, sexual deviance, overall look and attire, smug arrogance, and overall patheticness. So, boys.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So who are we taking to Cooter Court this week, boys?
Man, there's a lot of manipulation coming from the company. And so that leads me directly to Satan's fingers.
So the devil. All right.
Should we talk about the devil? Folksy, preachery devil.
So, okay. He's got the manipulation, as Randy mentioned. So that's his first point out the wazoo.
Yeah.
On the manipulation.
And I think that's coupled with intense arrogance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The smug arrogance is quite high.
And I think that's a pretty common theme for anybody doing this, going through this procedure, too. So it's like he's trafficking in the arrogance almost.
It's true. Yeah. He knows how to play off it, but it feeds his own arrogance. Like we said before, he's making the same mistakes.
Yep.
Like in the same
He's just selling that mistake to others. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, okay. So he is quite high on smug arrogance.
I would
quite high on manipulation. What else?
I mean, depending on your interpretation, because we had this discussion, I would argue sexual deviance because he is putting women in pretty horrible situations. Their complicity in it is at least up for debate in my mind. But I don't know, making somebody molest somebody so you can blackmail them, that's pretty deviant behavior, in my opinion.
Yeah, regardless of whether it was real or not, like whether the woman was actually molested or she was completely 100% faking it and was handed a paycheck on her way out the door, it's still choosing that avenue as your form of blackmail is sexually deviant. Yeah.
3.
Yes.
Right there.
Yeah. So he's definitely Cooter.
I
Is he
think he
going to
hits.
hit any? Now, if we can talk about the company, if we can just kind of mesh the company in with the devil, that dude who breaks down his fucking like profile,
The mustache
man,
that guy was a weird one. And what's
weird guy.
This whole company is made out of Wooly Willy characters because there's that guy, the bald with the mustache, and then you've got the guy who eats his fucking chicken dinner for whatever reason, who had the biggest eyebrows I have ever seen.
That dude loved
Chicken
the
man.
shit out of that chicken dinner.
He loved
Yeah,
that
he
fucking
did.
that
chicken.
shit was wild.
I'm not gonna lie, it
It
kind of made me want to get some chicken though.
Yeah,
Dude.
I mean,
I was like, I kinda like
sales is
that
what
on
he's
that.
doing. So.
So if we can lump the company all together, then I think they definitely hit overall look.
Yeah, I think it'd be hard to hit just him because it's not out of character for somebody of that era to dress the way he does. And it's not bombastic, super bombastic in and of
Dude,
himself.
that mustache is bombastic.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the
okay.
devil. I'm talking about the devil
Okay,
specifically.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we could, I mean, honestly, he is, it wouldn't be a stretch, I don't think, to say that the company operates as a whole, as a unit. So
Cooter company.
I would say that
Cooter Co.
Cooter company.
Cooter Co.
Yeah.
I think
We've
also
done a collective
pathetic.
Cooter before.
We have. I think that the devil himself is totally a Cooter, but I think the company is and is as a whole a even more successful Cooter because it's got the extra look. He's got the variance of look.
Selling
I mean,
lies.
I think
Selling lies.
we all remember the cul-de-sac Cooter from the Burb. So
Oh yeah.
I don't remember anything. Ever.
collective Cooter is definitely not off the table.
The idea that I remember anything is faulty. So
I think those are both fair. Like the Satan character himself, for sure, Cooter. Company mirrors everything that he has plus. So I think the company is definitely a Cooter. How are
True,
we feeling
yeah.
about Mr. Hamilton himself?
I don't think you guys will agree, but I think there's an argument to be made.
Let's consider it in Cooter Court. So what you got, Randy?
Okay, well, I don't know if you guys will agree with it. I think there's some sexual deviance. Even if this woman was paid to be molested and not like, even if it wasn't rape, it was just molestation. Even if she was paid and she was just acting, even if he was drugged, he still made forward momentum to making that happen. Unless he was completely devoid of his momentum, completely devoid of any decision whatsoever in that moment, he still enacted upon molestation. So to me, that's sexual deviance.
So since this is Cooter Court, I just thought of a counter argument just to be fair.
Okay.
All
right.
So counter argument based on what we see of this man's character throughout this film. Later, after that, he is given an opportunity to have free sexual reign where he is at this hippie range where people are just getting naked.
At the hippie range.
Yeah. And just like throwing caution to the wind, Diabo's flying, and he's not like licking at the chops. He's not like, oh yeah, let me get in here and go buck wild. He's like,
it's my boy Dick.
Yeah. He's very reluctant, and it's not until he is force stripped of his clothes that he even participates in any kind of way. So I think we see more of his true character there, and I think that hints even more heavily of like his influence of drugged and not having any like.
I think it's possible for a person to both be a molester of one person and a person who makes love to their wife. So
yeah, I concur with Justin. The way that whole scene is shot is like the man is drugged, and it's almost like a complete dream sequence, and then he wakes up thinking that it was a dream, and they have to literally tell him like that shit happened, and we filmed it, and we're going to use it as blackmail. Like he is not in his right mind whatsoever during that sequence. From what I gather, the woman is a totally paid employee as well. Based on,
I mean, to me,
dialogue.
that's almost not important whether or not she's paid or not, because to me, like, if he was totally sober and he did what he did, it would be no different. You are still a rapist, whether or not it's actual rape.
Yeah.
But so to me, that's moot.
In on it, yeah.
But I mean, to the extent that he's in his right mind, he's clearly not in his full right mind, and he's clearly made different choices in other situations. So there is an argument to be made. It sounds like I'm outvoted, so we'll just go with that in the interest of time. But it's at least worth discussing. And then I would say for manipulation, I don't know if he's manipulating really anybody. He's barely able to keep the lid on his own fucking secrets by the end.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's because he refuses, and I think this was a conscious choice. He refuses to give up anybody else to kind of take this position where they constantly, like, toward the end of his like run, they're like, don't you have anybody that you can suggest? And he's like, oh, can't think of anyone. I think he's like doing it on purpose, honestly.
I mean, he's clearly doesn't give a shit about it, if nothing else. So yeah, I mean, it might be a principled stance. It could very well be, but I just don't don't see anything. I don't see him even lying to anybody unless it's part of what he's doing to, like, it's as part of the company's wishes. His look is pretty normal. Changing your entire look is fucking weird. So I mean, I don't know. That's a weird half point.
That's pathetic.
Changing your entire look. Yeah, pathetic is his big one, I think, more than anything else. Pathetic, maybe sexual deviant, but it sounds like no. That's a voted down. Look and attire, I think, like the change of your look, the total change in new life, I think is at least a half a point. No manipulation, really. I would argue that he's a little arrogant for not considering anything about his wife. I really think that he's pretty negligent of her from start to finish, personally. So it's kind of tough to say because we are all kind of also approaching it from different ways because he's written in a way to where it's got different approaches built in.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, it's debatable, but the argument is there if you want to take it.
Yeah. I don't
think we can book him.
I
don't
feel
think
like
we can book him. We can't
either.
unanimously book him.
Yeah, we can't book him, boys. We got to let this one go.
But he's on parole.
He's not scot-free. Yeah, we'll
keep an eye on him.
Keeping an eye on him for sure.
We're tapping that phone. Freedom of Information. Patriot Act.
Totally.
Look it up.
Google it.
Lock it.
Google it.
You dummies.
Alta Vista Babelfish it.
You sheep.
Oh, wow. Welcome to Freedom Cast.
Aren't you being a little stupid?
Yes. So I guess
Yes, I am.
the company / Satan, that's going to be our Cooter of the week.
Those are our guys.
All right.
Book them, boys.
Sounds good. Sounds solid. They've been booked. Let's go ahead and get into the social hour. We're letting our hair down. We're talking about what we've been watching this week.
Hey, gang, what you been watching?
Randy, what have you been watching?
Oh man, there's a lot. It's spooky season, and we, because of the extravaganza, skipped last week. So I'm gonna bullet through these as best I can with my verbose demeanor intact. I watched Tales of Halloween. I enjoyed it. First time seeing it.
Nice.
Bly Manor, watched it. We'll talk about it some other time. I watched DreamWorks Spooky Stories randomly, which is just a bunch of shorts about Shrek being around ghosts and shit, and it was fine. It's fine. I finished Oberdin. It was excellent. The Return of the Oberdin video game on I played it on Switch.
Okay, yeah.
It was very excellent. It's kind of a little bit of an anticlimactic end just because of the nature of the game, but it's a fucking amazing game. I played through the Borderlands 2 Halloween special.
Hell yeah.
That was fun. It was fun. It was like I'm a little overpowered for it at the point where I jumped in, and then once I got the big gun there, it was like fucking. I could do no wrong. So it was fun though. It was very thematically appropriate. It was real short. Over the Garden Wall. Watch that again. Always great. I watched several Halloween specials, mostly from Nickelodeon, just because. I watched the Hey Arnold Halloween special. Still great. The Doug Funny Halloween special. It's still good. The Rugrats Halloween special. Not as good, but still fine. Real Monsters was in it. It was a cameo. No big deal. And then Rocko's Modern Life Halloween, which is my favorite. Still my favorite Nicktoon from a childhood. Fucking Hopping Hessian for life. Love that shit. I watched Borat 2. That shit was really funny. Predictably kind of fucked up and very like smart in very subtle ways.
My wife. Right.
Yeah, real subtle like that. I watched Child's Play 2019. Not as bad as I anticipated.
Right. Not bad.
I watched Night of the Demons.
Saved it for Christmas.
Okay.
Isn't it a Christmas movie?
I don't remember a lot of Christmas going on, but maybe.
Yeah, there's a big Christmas.
I guess there's a Christmas release of.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I didn't really see it that way, but Night of the Demons. Rewatched that. Still
Hell
fun. I watched Host, the movie filmed on Zoom for Shudder that was released in 12 weeks from blank page to finished product.
Damn.
Very impressive. Very fucking impressive. And not a bad movie. I watched Lucky for the world premiere of Lucky. It was just a horror movie. I think a Shudder original that they played last night as a surprise for Halloween on Shudder, and I enjoyed that quite a bit. I don't know if we'll cover that in future, so I'm abstaining for now. I watched The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, not on network television, which I guess was a thing that didn't happen this year, but on Apple TV. It was funnier than I remember. I actually haven't seen it since I was a kid, so it was great. At Becky's request, we watched one of her favorite Halloween specials, which was Double Trouble with Mary, Kate, and Ashley. And also, not as silly as definitely silly, not as bad as I thought it was going to be. Cloris Leachman's in it, and she's always fucking funny. It was really funny in her part.
All right.
And it's basically like The Wizard of Oz, but Halloween-y, and cheesy as fuck. And then finally, last but not least, I finally watched Elvira, Mistress of the Dark for the first time, and it was also very, very fun to watch. I need to get a little more of Elvira in my life. I've never really explored her whole work, her body of work. I feel like that's an appropriate pun for her.
Oh yeah.
And I enjoyed it quite a bit. So I'm going to be looking into Elvira's fucking product. And there we go. The labyrinth is completed and we can move on.
Thank you. Randy's going to be chugging Coors Light because of those old Elvira ads from the 80s.
Damn.
Slamming it. Cool. Juice, what you been watching?
Yep, let me run through the old Halloween classic. So I can't remember what I talked about last. So I also played through the Borderlands 2 Halloween DLC. It's something like I got to do every year. It's great. And I suggest Randy follow along with the holidays because then they have a Thanksgiving one and then a Christmas. So keep up with it, Randy.
Oh, I didn't know there was a Thanksgiving one.
Yeah, Thanksgiving one. And then even goes Valentine's Day and then even into Easter. So you can follow along for like the next 6 months.
The rebirth of Christ. Perfect time to blow the heads off motherfuckers.
It's pretty fun. So played through that. I've been playing through the Overwatch Halloween special. They always have special spooky skins. They're awesome. And they like decorate a lot of the like worlds that you go to, like spooky, and that's really fun. So been playing through those games. Watched Over the Garden Wall. Amazing. So sad and touching. Perfect autumn watch. Hocus Pocus.
Hoker
Ghost,
Poker.
Yeah, Hoker Poker Yabos. Why Ghost Watch, man? Ever since we watched it for the extravaganza, I watch it every year. It's so badass.
I need you to send me wherever you found it because I looked hard.
I've got it. I've got the link because I sent it to a few people. I was like, hey, check this out. I'm spreading the good word. It's free.
I need it.
I will send it to you. I watched I watched that.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Over the Garden Wall, like the essentials. Hocus Pocus. Oh, Trick or Treat. How to knock out Trick or Treat. There was a couple that I typically run through that I couldn't, like Sleepy Hollow and Casper. Or a couple I wanted to. I just couldn't get through it because we watched so many Halloweens this year. But then November 1st, mourning the loss of the season, but I like to jump in. It's nice for me, honestly, like to go in. At least we have the Christmas season to jump into. And for me, there's no really like better time to go ahead and watch A Nightmare Before Christmas because to me, it's a Christmas film. Because it's about how the people of Halloween Town experience Christmas. But because they're in Halloween Town, it's so spooky, like you don't want to watch it too far removed from Halloween. Like if you wait till like after Thanksgiving to watch A Nightmare Before Christmas, it feels kind of weird because Halloween was like almost a month ago. So I like to jump right into kind of like transition from the spooky season to the Christmas season. I feel like A Nightmare Before Christmas is like almost perfect for that. So I watched that day after November 1st, watched it, which is today for you guys, but I'm on the 2nd already. So yeah, I think those are all my watches. I watched some more Treehouse of Horror that we didn't cover this show. I watched some Halloween special. I'm watching like Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now. I watched their Halloween special. It just happened to line up with where I was at in the show. So that was cool. And just watched like a handful of Halloween specials as well that kind of popped in my mind. So yeah, it was a good run on the spooky season. I'm already jumping feet first into Christmas season. Christmas horror
first. Getting right
into
it.
First.
Yes. Bob.
Yo.
What is your long list of watches over the past 2 weeks of spooky season?
I want to give another shout out to Sunray Cinema for doing these pop-up drive-in situations around town here. They've been killing it. I went to the drive-in this past Friday and saw a double feature of Little Shop of Horrors and Mars Attacks, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, that's a great double feature. Holy shit.
Yeah. I hadn't seen Mars Attacks in quite a while. Both movies are great, but like I forgot a lot about Mars Attacks and like how stacked that fucking cast is.
They blew up Congress.
It is. They did. It was great. It was fantastic. This whole Halloween weekend, we had like perfect weather in Florida. So like we brought little lawn chairs and like sat out in front of the cars, like in this big field and watched these great movies. It was fun. It was fantastic. Support Sunray Cinema. Also, I revisited Halloween 2018, and it's great. It's a great movie.
I meant to rewatch that. There was a lot on my list this year.
Yeah,
I didn't get to.
The month goes by so fast. But
how was the banh mi? Did you eat a banh mi while you watched?
I didn't. No, but I did think of you when that scene came up for sure. What else I watched? I can't remember if I mentioned this last time we did What You've Been Watching. But Bob's Burgers, like they have a Halloween episode like every season.
I watched that too, actually.
They're so good. They're fantastic. Yeah.
They are really good.
Highly recommend that shit.
Full bars,
dude. I watched the one where they're trying to scare what is her name? Kristen Shaw's character.
Not Tina, but the other one.
Not Tina. That's right.
Tina, yeah.
Oh my God, Louise.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Damn.
Yeah, I had it on tap.
Yeah, that episode's great. Bob's Burgers has really fantastic Halloween episodes. I put on last night on Halloween proper. Put on Halloween 3. Hadn't seen that in a minute. Fantastic. Exactly. 364 days to Halloween.
Halloween.
I also checked out that Netflix show, My Next Guest.
Letterman?
Yeah, Letterman's like interview show. I hadn't seen all of it, but I watched 2 episodes, the Dave Chappelle episode and the Lizzo episode. Both very enjoyable. I just love Dave Chappelle. And I don't know much about Lizzo, but I learned a little bit about it. Apparently, she's like a fucking amazing flautist. Didn't know that. Just shreds the flute. I don't know. Recommend that.
Shreds.
Like really, like concert flautist level, and then also just like a pop singer. Like it's
IV stroking.
IV stroking. Yeah, check that shit out. It's good. That's pretty much what I've been watching. I meant to talk about this at the top of the show and then I forgot. Like we are now, Halloween's over. Gentlemen, how was your Halloween? How did it go?
Oh shit.
What'd you do?
Oh, yeah.
How'd you celebrate?
Social hour, baby.
Yeah.
You want to start us off, Juice?
Yeah, sure. I've been celebrating, watching shows. I've been going out and hunting down the few pumpkin spice items I could get in
pumpkins.
That's not a flavor that's prominent in Korea, so you
really
gotta work for it. Yeah. And on Halloween night, I actually went out. One of my buddies owns like a gallery, and he hosted like a small get together. There's like a bar there and stuff. And it was nice because the gallery he owns, it's like sectioned out anyways, like to have like private VIP sections or whatever like that. So it was easy to have like small groups, but still like, see that it was kind of like a party going on or still have a good vibe to it. So that was nice. It was actually the perfect kind of venue for that because it still has like a bar in there so you could get drinks and stuff like that. And everybody kind of dressed up lightly. It wasn't like too crazy over the top. There was a dog there and he had like a little Halloween get up on. It was just fun. It was nice to still be able to keep some of the spooky vibes going. And it was chill, but it was fun. Good spooky vibes. So yeah. Randy, how was your Halloween, guy?
Pretty good. Nothing really to report on, really. The most that we did, in DC, there's, a million fucking people. So there's only so much you can really do. It's not going to put you in direct contact with people. And we're desperately trying not to. So we did walk around the neighborhood for an hour or so yesterday. And really, I was surprised at how many places really did up their houses with several pumpkins, tons of fake cobwebs, tons of skeletons, and like just everything, ghosts hanging across from row home to row home. Like it was really kind of awesome. And on top of that, everybody was doing really like safety conscious, like handing out of candy or whatever. And my favorite thing that I saw, which I shared on the Slack channel, which was people bought these. I think this has gone around now. I think this is a known thing at this point, but people bought these big PVC pipe tubes that they were dropping their candy in like a chute into the kids' fucking buckets. And I was like, this would be fun regardless. Like if I had a home like that, I would do that every year because that just adds one more piece of action and fun to the process.
Yeah.
Randy's all about the action.
I loved it. Like it was like, that's so fucking great. And it serves two functions. It's great. It's just great.
Yeah, I like seeing all the different designs of like people posting on Reddit and shit, like going into pumpkins' mouths or like going like matching with their costumes and shit. It was a cool little new aspect. See, we can overcome.
Yeah,
we will overcome.
Yeah,
that's how it goes, right?
And then something like that. And then beyond that, we just watched horror movies. Like I said, we watched a good deal of Shudder last night. Enjoyed some newer horror movies as well as a couple classics. And enjoyed some cider. My favorite new drink, not necessarily newer, which is hot apple cider, and the Screwball peanut butter whiskey, which I call the sack lunch. It's very delicious, very very delicious, and I recommend it. Yeah, that's it.
Can I get a hell feet?
Oh yeah.
No, Bob.
Thank
you cannot like that.
All right.
Bob?
Yo.
How was your spooky season, my guy? Did you bust out the fog hog?
I did. I had to dust her off.
Bob. Tell me
she as hoggy as ever?
Yeah, tell me how foggy you got it, guy.
She's pretty hoggy, and she's pretty foggy. It was great.
Oh, shit.
I have a little a projector hung up in the garage, and I had a Halloween 3 playing, and then fogged it out real good and had some lights up there. It was super, super spooky. Solid vibes. Nice. I had a small get-together at the house, had a few people over, and costumes abound and snacks, and mainly just kind of sat outside and caught up with some friends, basically. But it was a lot of fun. There was some light dancing towards the end, and it was a nice Halloween. Carved some jack-o'-lanterns. Didn't have any trick-or-treaters, which I just kind of sat a bowl outside with like a big thing of hand sanitizer next to it, and I was like, if people show up, they can grab some and then wash up if they want. I didn't really see any kids come by though, which is kind of to be expected, and probably for the best, really. But yeah, it was a.
Bob, you said some light dancing. Did you get those shoulders worked out? Bob's a shoulder.
We're going to get her ready.
Yeah, the shoulders go up and down, and the feet just sort of wiggle. They just kind of, that's really all I got to bring to the table here.
Oh, interesting. European
style. That's true. Yeah, it was a good Halloween, solid into spooky season, and here's to next year, right? Cheers.
Good.
So yeah, we I guess we got to put a pin in spooky season this year. Let's go ahead and do it. getting into Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Could have been right in his head.
Just right into Christmas.
Right in it, going right in. I already started hanging Christmas lights today. I had to do something.
Oh.
I know what it
You guys
is.
are just skipping Thanksgiving. I just started slaughtering turkeys today, so I'm gonna be set.
I went ahead and planted my corn. I assume it'll be ready in a couple weeks.
Yeah. Harvest corn.
How long can it possibly take? I mean, come on. Come on.
It's corn.
I buried a few cans of cranberry sauce, so I'll get some cranberry plants, I guess.
Cran trees, yeah.
Ah, yes.
The cran oak tree.
Yeah, that'll work out. We got one more segment to go ahead and get into. It's our Hotline Scream segment. If you are listening and want to call and leave us a voicemail, you can hit us up at 904-638-3231. We have 3 voicemails to get to this evening. So let's go ahead and get right down to it. First up, we're going to be hearing from our good boy, 1 a.m. Wes.
Our good boy.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Okay, it's Wes, or 1 a.m. Wes, because apparently we're doing that again. Because times are important. Learn your time, kids. I haven't even finished this episode, but I had to call. So Soju was talking about Buffy the Vampire Slayer and wondering if it was still good. Yes, and I have my Buffy the Vampire Slayer poster to back me up. This is from the crappiest generation. I am from the crappiest generation, and yes, it is still good. And my girlfriend on that poster will forever, she's amazing. Please don't tell my actual girlfriend I said that.
All right, I'm going to really quickly have a first for Straight Chilling's Hotline Scream, and we're going to call Wes's girlfriend. Let's go dial her up real quick.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. Hey, what's up, Wes's girlfriend? Do you know that he talks about girls on posters and calls them his girlfriend? Huh? He does. He does. He also is up at 1 a.m. Did you know that? Did you know
he's not getting his proper sleep?
No. Why do you have 2 voices? It doesn't matter. Thanks for calling.
What are we doing
Wes.
here? What are we
I don't know.
We ain't improv people. I don't know if that's clear or not.
It is. It's clear. You don't have to mention it. All right.
So yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. We got
good.
one hell yeet.
Still
for
good.
Buffy.
All right.
Holds up. Speaking of hell yeets, we might be getting a few more from old 2 p.m. Todd. Let's hear what he has to say.
What up, Straight Chilling Crew? How do, Chilling Crew? 2 p.m. Todd calling in at noon on a Tuesday. Just wanted to take a minute, let you know, hell yeet. Straight Chilling Crew, hell yeet. Hell yeet. Hell yeet. Yeet, 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 yeet. That was so Jew. Also wanted to say that you had an awesome cast. Actually, all of your casts are awesome, but this last one, you guys do a great job. And I encourage anybody listening, share your knowledge about the Straight Chillin' Crew, because they are the best out there. They give us what we need in the horror community, week in and week out. And I, for one, appreciate what you guys do. I enjoy listening to you. I enjoy the Slack. And I just wanted to thank you. Thank you for all you do. Keep up the great work. And last but not least, hell yeah. Keep chilling.
All right, 2 p.m. Todd. I
Thanks
gotta
for
say,
the hell yeets. 2 p.m. Todd. I have a hard time getting him out of here. The old Straight Chillin' boys.
I do think that it's very nice of Todd to spread the good word about us here at the Straight Chilling Church of Straight Chilling here. But I gotta say, my favorite parts of his messages are always the ones where it sounds like he's on more drugs than you could possibly be on. So be talking. That's my favorite Todd of all.
Let's praise more drugs, 2 p.m.
Yes,
that's what Randy's says.
I want to make us legally liable for whatever happens to Todd. Thanks, Todd. We appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks, Todd.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for the hell yeets, my guy.
Thanks for calling in. We got one more. We got to hear from our boy, Miles. What's he got to say?
What's going on, guys? It's Midnight Miles. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with that. I like the way that sounds. Just sitting outside a restaurant right now, La Fiesta Mexican restaurant here in Charlotte. Very disappointed right now because Postmates said the order would be ready for pickup in 5, and they told me it'd be 40 minutes. So yeah, better than Beef O'Brady's though, definitely. The reason I was calling in was because I was a little disappointed with this month's pick for the Patreons. It was 90s Universal Horror remakes, and you guys are missing the best one. I didn't see The Mummy on there. The Mummy is the best 90s Universal Horror remake. So yeah, what's up with that, guys? Come on, get on it.
Okay, fair enough.
Thank you for your call, Miles. I fought hard to include The Mummy on there, and I was shot down because it is not horror. It is more.
My God, you're treated more unfairly than any podcast host in history.
We did have this discussion,
Miles.
and I don't think that anybody would disagree that The Mummy is the most enjoyable of those 4 movies. But
people would.
Randy did, I think.
Really? Okay. Well,
I don't know that. I don't know that because I haven't seen 2 of them for starters.
Okay. Well, but yeah, the discussion we had is like, how horror is it? It seems like mostly action adventure with a little bit of horror.
That's a thing.
That's
not Soju's position, but
Yeah, your position is 69. We know. So
my go-to.
It's always genital to mouth for old juice stains. That's his way. Yeah, I just feel like it's more action and adventure than it is anything related to horror. The only thing that's horror about it is that it's a remake of a horror. And to that end, it could have fit perfectly in there, but I just felt like I wanted to give a shot to those weirdo other movies that were in the mix and that I had never seen for starters. But it doesn't look like I'm going to get that either because I've also seen Bram Stoker's.
Yeah, that was I wanted to see. My biggest thing was I thought Stoker was just going to dominate, which it has, which, understandably, I mean, it won a ton of awards in the cast and stuff. But I was kind of looking forward to a head-to-head between old Stoker and Mummy. I would be genuinely curious to see who would come out on top of that one.
Well,
who's coming on top?
Maybe
who's coming on top? Stroker coming on top.
Instead, will be
Mummy coming on top.
Maybe we'll talk about it one day.
Oh God, yes. Come with me.
Oh my God, it only took almost 300 episodes for us to talk about Nightmare on Elm Street. So maybe we'll talk about the Mummy eventually.
Eventually, we'll get there. Maybe episode 696.
Totally. I do. I like hearing from people calling in and like airing out their grievances with either local or chain restaurants. Just laying in on that shit.
There's never been a more fiery feud than between the Straight Chilling Podcast and Beef O'Brady's, apparently.
Motherfucking Beef O'Brady's. Not having it.
Won't have it.
Won't have it. La Fiesta, tighten up, man. I don't have 40 minutes to wait for my goddamn California Rito, okay?
Not in this economy.
Nope. Time is money, baby. Also, shouts outs to Miles. He took part in that tap out for cancer.
Yeah.
Was it jujitsu? God, I'm stupid when it comes to fighting. I'm so sorry. I think
he was fighting.
Yeah,
he did fighting.
He did the fighting,
and
anyway.
He did it better than the other fighting guy.
He won, and he walked out to his match in full Michael Myers garb, and he had the Halloween theme playing as he walked out.
Hell yeah.
Straight up badass.
Cool as shit. Cool as shit.
That's pretty
And
dope.
as he said, if he had lost after that, it would have been a very different story.
Yeah.
But he also won, so he gets the credit and the cream on top, too.
Good.
Yeah. Way to kick
Good
cancer's
cause,
ass, Miles.
Yeah.
For sure. Thanks for calling, y'all. Again, if you are listening and want to call and leave us a voicemail for next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Do you, Randy Juice, do you guys have any prompts you want to throw out there for the crew to call in for next week?
How you dealing with your Halloween hangover? What you doing? How you get over it? You know,
How you coping? How
How do you move on from something like this?
I mean, the end of Halloween, it's just mind-boggling. It's an earth-shattering event that we won't soon forget. It's a 9/11 level event.
Unfortunately, it's something we have to experience every year.
That's a legit question, though, because I mean, it's silly to say, but I feel that shit on November 1st. You're like,
oh, yeah.
Fuck.
I mean, it really is for me. It's just easier to just pour yourself into the next holiday because it has its own set of movies in a very similar fashion, own set of movies and horror. Like I said, Nightmare Before Christmas, you got Krampus, you got all kind of great horror, Christmas movies. But
in fact, you can pick from one of 3 on our Patreon.
You can right now.
Yeah, you can listen to some classic straight chilling Christmas episodes. You can listen
Hear
to
the
those.
warm side of the door.
Warm side
rendered by moi.
Dude,
Lord.
You
can do
that shit. When you start fucking singing
Christmas
warm side of the door.
season's good.
It is.
You're going to have to go back into the archives to hear that again, folks.
I think where it's like the hardest is like at least coming out of Halloween season for me, you've got Christmas to kind of lean on. I think that's why January is so damn depressing. Because it's like, what do I do?
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
I mean,
you got fucking Valentine's Day? Who gives a shit about the person you love? Nobody. Nobody.
It really is just waiting for like kind of St. Patrick's Day, but truly like September, October, November, December, those are the greatest months out of the year. The weather is the best to me. The holidays are just special. There's so many like unique, special things to do, unique flavors coming out, things to eat, so
much ways to spend money.
It is, yeah. So I think January is really where it's the hardest for me. So
yeah, I hear you. I can't wait to watch the Cranbish this year.
Cranbish?
Really looking forward to it.
Is that what grows when you bury your cranberry?
It's a bad Krampus joke.
The old Cranbish.
The Cranbish. Anyways, let us continue.
Bob, no.
Yes.
Bob,
yes.
no.
Yes.
Bob,
yes.
no.
Yes. That's going to do it for us this week here at Straight Chilling. We're going to be back next week with a brand new show. We're going to be hitting up another Patreon pick. The movie is Terrified, which is a Shudder original, I believe. It's up on Shudder. You can watch it there. It's also on Blu-ray, so you can pick it up on a Blu-ray disc if you want to do that. This one was chosen by the one, the only Hydraberg. Thanks for supporting us yet again over on the Patreon, Hydraberg, picking a movie for us to talk about. So yeah, slam your eyeballs into Terrified. Get ready for next week. Until then, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. Follow us on Twitter at STR8_chilling, on Instagram at Straight Chilling Podcast. Send us an email to our website, straightchillingpodcast.com. If you want to join in on the daily Slack channel conversations, just let us know on one of our social media outlets, and I'll send you a link to join in on the Slack channel fun. Until next week, as always.
Oh, shit.
Oh, what?
We're late for the wine orgy.
Oh, no!
Fuck!
Stomp my
Let me
grapes,
strip some of my
baby.
skivvies.
All right,
I'm
let's
on
go.
my way.
Let's go. All right, keep chilling. Keep chilling.